We've got a Fox Business alert. China's stocks have dove nearly 7%, sparking a halt in trading over there.
This as the Dow Jones finishes 2015 with its worst year since 2008. So what can we expect in the market today and in the new year? Here to weigh in, Stuart Varney, host of Varney and Company and on our sister network, Fox Business. Good morning. What do you say?
Anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen to the stock market in 2016, fire them immediately because they don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Okay?
Well, what's going on right now
There's
in
a
China?
good start.
What's happening in China? Why the sell-off?
Okay, China's factories are slowing down. They're producing less stuff. China is the workshop of the world. The whole economy is slowing down. That drags down the whole world economy because they're so important to this global economy these days. That's going to drag us down as well. So you've got a big stock market sell-off coming. In just a couple of hours' time, we're going to be down 200, maybe 300 points on the Dow Jones average. Rotten start to the year.
You also say investors are going to be willing to sell off winner stocks. Why?
Some people made a lot of money last year in stocks like Netflix, in Amazon, for example.
The two biggest stocks of last year.
Huge. I mean, they just doubled. Now, if you sell today and take that profit, you don't pay tax on that profit until April of 2017. Not a bad opportunity to sell while the price is high.
What about to buy?
Delay the tax.
What about to buy?
Well, that's another story entirely. It depends on your outlook.
Right.
Now, I'll say this. We've got an election this year. If the winner of that election looks like going for growth in the economy as opposed to redistribution, I think that's good news for the market.
You know,
But if you go the other way, more of the same, I don't think it's good news at all.
We also see the Saudis and Iranians are about to kill each other, and that's affected the oil prices.
It sure has. At the moment, the oil price is unchanged. It went up when the news came of the Saudi-Iranian fight. It's gone back down again because of the slowing global economy. But anytime you've got this kind of real trouble right in the middle of the oil patch, and I think this is a Shia Sunni civil war within Islam, you got that kind of trouble, you got trouble for everybody. It's
but Americans, our viewers are...
We want to take you now to Wall Street. The markets are open for the first time this year, and it is already not looking very good. You see there, the Dow Jones is down almost... there, 200 points, triple digits.
Yeah, it's already triggered. It's all rather triggered by some global uncertainty. We're seeing big sell-offs, stocks in China, Japan, and Europe. So Bell Point chief strategist David Nelson is on the phone with us now to tell us what is going on. David, this is not a great way to start the year.
No, it's not. It looks like a pretty rocky start this morning. A lot of stocks haven't even opened yet. This comes on the heels, really, of a worldwide sell-off that was in part triggered, as you mentioned, by a trading halt in China. That came following some weak economic data there, manufacturing data, a weak currency, and that triggered the sell-off around the world. And if that wasn't enough, we're getting some geopolitical concerns out of the Middle East. Both Saudi Arabia and Bahrain broke off diplomatic relations with Iran following the execution of a prominent Shiite cleric. And that, of course, brings up that Shia-Sunni dynamic again. And of course, the markets hate uncertainty, so we are seeing this sell-off hit us here on our shores.
So, David, over the next few hours here, I mean, as people continue to look at those numbers and start to feel, perhaps in some people's mind, a real sense of, I don't want to say panic, but concern over this, what does this mean for U.S. investors?
Well, look, I would say how the market closes today is probably a lot more important than how it opens. Look, we have some pluses and minuses here in the United States. We certainly have some challenges. The Fed is hiking rates right now. That tends to put some pressure on multiples. Oil has been a blessing and a curse. We get a benefit at the pump. But if you live in an energy-producing state, you're starting to feel a pain. I would caution investors, don't overreact to this type of news. We're going to have a lot more days like this ahead.
Eventually, what's happening is that we are being led bit by bit through, to use the Skinnerian term, from shaping through the successive approximation to ultimately having within our bodies an RFID chip that will be implanted, that people will stand in line and in queues for to have, so that ultimately we will have in our bodies, because what we're doing right now, Lindsay, is we're slowly moving towards that. We went from the desktop to the laptop, to the phone, to the watch. And now we're having little tattoos, little biometrics, all of them leading to the ultimate goal. And that is an RFID, a radio frequency identification or similar chip to be placed subcutaneously. And that chip, Lindsay, will have everything about you there is. Your bank account, your GPS location, and you will do it. You will get one. Because after all, it will also have the siren call of medical information. And then one day, God forbid, not you, one day when people are found guilty of, let's say, crimes, they're not going to be put into the Huzgau, the pokey. No, their chip is going to be turned off and poof, they don't exist anymore. That's where all of this is going.
The first trading day of the new year off to a rough start, with the Dow down almost 400 points right now.
Weaker than expected manufacturing data out of China helped trigger a global sell-off of stocks, sending jitters through Japan, Europe, and here in the United States. China's Shanghai Composite dived nearly 7% before trading was stopped altogether. And escalating tensions in the Middle East did more to spark the downturn.
Well, things are not looking good on Wall Street today. The markets are open for the first time in 2016, but the Dow, you see it there, is down triple digits, more than 350 points. And we saw at the outset when the market opened at 9:30 Eastern this morning, it was very quickly that the Dow plunged there. It was down already 200 some points within just the first 2 minutes, and now about 30 minutes later down almost 400 points.
It's certainly been quite volatile, and part of the reason is because there's a lot of stuff going on around the globe. China has had a horrible start in terms of their stock market. In fact, they installed some circuit breakers, they call, to stop trading after their stock market plunged 7%, and of course there are issues in the Middle East.
Everything that's happening right now, think about this. It's not going to be because of the government forcing this on you, or the Stasi, or some type of a dystopian Orwellian 1984. No! People will say, please, please, like barking seals, like sheeple, put this on, put this tat on, this UPC. I want to be a part of it. I want to be hip. I don't know what privacy is. Please, subcutaneous, all the better, because I want to be cool. And I don't care about privacy because, after all, Lindsay, I've got nothing to hide.
Let's get straight to Bell Point Chief Strategist David Nelson. He joins us on the phone now. David, explain further what some of those key factors abroad are contributing to this side.
Well, there's a few. You talked about the main one right at the top. This sell-off was triggered really starting in China. There was a trading halt. Their markets were down close to 7%. It was on the heels of weak economic data there, and then it just kind of spread around the world. It hit Japan next, the rest of Asia, translated to the shores of Europe, and now it's here in the United States as well. But it's not the only reason the markets are down today. There was, geopolitical chaos, certainly in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia and Bahrain both breaking off diplomatic ties with Iran. And anytime you get a geopolitical event like that, it creates uncertainty, and markets don't like that. Hence, we're seeing a pretty big sell-off today.
Breaking news, weak factory data out of China, reigniting fears of a sharp economic slowdown there. Trading has been halted in China after stocks plunged 7%. The concerns now being felt here, where we are seeing futures trading sharply lower ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures off 276, S&P futures off 31, NASDAQ futures on a percentage basis down the most, off nearly 80 points.
Jill Wagner is on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Jill, what is the mood like there right now?
Well, it's a little bit of panic, certainly not the way investors were hoping to kick off this first trading day of the year. As you were saying, it's mostly about China. So manufacturing data showed a slowdown for a fifth straight month there, which sparked a massive sell-off in the Chinese markets. They were down about 7%. That automatically triggers a circuit breaker. That's a complete halt in trading for the day. Never a good thing when investors can't make trades. The Shanghai Composite has been in turmoil for a while now. It hit its peak in June, then it fell about 30%. The government there took pretty drastic steps to try and stabilize the market, but we're seeing that this is just another indication. Some of the problems that plagued the markets last year could be continue to be a problem this year.
But you know, let me tell you something. And what happens is parents are one day going to chip their kids because there aren't going to be any more Amber Alerts. You're going to chip your parents, especially those who suffer from dementia, and like OnStar. And eventually, it's all going to be you. You're going to have think about it, Lindsay. No more wallets. You want to pay for your bill? Go like that. Because there's the chip. Just go like that. We'll do these little hand waves. This will be everything. And then, as I said, the moment you transgress and that chip is turned off, you don't exist anymore. People won't be able to see you on their GPS devices, even though you're looking right at them. They're saying, I'm sorry, Lindsay, this isn't registering. Because without this, without my ability to pick up the metrics, the biometrics, the electronic metrics of you, you don't exist.
Well, for a lot of people out there, including myself, who's a relative hermit to today's younger generation, that'd kind of be okay if someone thought I didn't exist for a couple of days. Just get some privacy. Thank you so much for your input on this, legal and media analyst and friend of the show, Lionel of Lionel Media.
Thank you.